without spoiling too much, the villain, the antagonist of the story, it's not just one person; it's a couple of people. Um,
Yeah.
uh, what inspired you to create that group and their powers?
Well, let's see. Beyond just Metroid, a lot of the inspirations came from just like various anime and things of that nature, like Naruto,
Mhm.
Yu Yu Hakusho. But the main villain, he came from, without giving away too much, he came
Well,
from.
welcome back to another episode of Freestyle Anime Podcast. I'm your host Rico, and tonight, man, we got a special guest for you guys here today. We got my friend here, Jari Smiley. He wrote a awesome book. We met him back at a con in North Carolina, and today we want to, get in a little bit into that book so you guys could hear some of it. But before we do that, man, let's just get into his background and his journey as a writer. So, man, how you doing tonight, bro?
Doing good, Carl, doing good. Shout outs to you guys at Freestyle. You guys do great stuff. So I appreciate you all letting me here.
Of course, of course. And bro, how did your journey as a writer start?
Well, I mean, for me, I grew up watching anime, playing video games since the 90s, early 2000s. Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Yu Yu Hakusho, video games like, Street Fighter,
Mhm.
Killer Instinct, Smash Bros, Final Fantasy. But in 2008, that's when I decided to take writing seriously. When I say seriously, I mean that's when I realized that's what I wanted to do. I watched The Dark Knight and I was so blown away by it. Rest easy, Heath Ledger, of course. It spoke to me, and it made me realize this is what I want to do. I want to give people the feeling that I had when I saw The Dark Knight for the first time. To this day, I'm always chasing that feeling whenever I write. Like that feeling you got from watching The Dark Knight and how amazing it was and just what it meant. And so ever since 2008, that's when I realized that's what I wanted to do. And on my way, it's been pretty great. I mean, I met a
Yeah.
lot of great people, learned a lot, travel, um, just experience what life has to offer, and see how you, as a creative, can translate that into something.
Okay, okay. The Dark Knight is like one of my favorite movies. It probably is my favorite movie. Like that 2008 was
Understandable.
such a special year, man. Favorite Joker to me, that's like the best Joker. They can't recreate that. They tried. Some of them, they did okay, but we're not going to talk about Jared Leto Joker. That one we'll leave to the side.
Yeah. Oh
But
wow.
I did
Jared
hear
Leto
you mention
disrespect.
it. Just like, come on, man. It is what it is. He tried to bring a different flavor to it. But yeah, I did hear you mention, anime and gaming, and one of the things I wanted to ask you for sure was, what's your top three animes, bro? What's on that list?
Top three? There's so many good ones. Let's see. Naruto. I'll give
Okay.
Naruto its props. It definitely has an interesting and really compelling story.
Hmm.
Uh, Yu Yu Hakusho. That
Yes.
that's like one of the best like 90s anime, and of course the theme song is so iconic that you have to just let it rock every time. It never gets skipped at all.
Yep.
I, I I might say Trigun. Yeah, Trigun. Yeah, Trigun. I was debating on putting Dragon Ball Z with Trigun, but Dragon Ball Z obviously, its
Legendary. Yeah.
impact is undeniable. But in terms of me, in terms of like what a story means, like I haven't watched a new Trigun yet. I plan on watching it, but like that original Trigun, man, that was such a really great story, and that's such a really amazing character. So those would be my top three at the moment when I think about it.
Okay. Now, my boy CJ, he loves Trigon, so he would have loved that answer. I know Maul, one of our hosts here, Maul, he watched the new Trigon, and CJ don't like it. He loves the OG, but Maul, he's like, I mean, it's all right. They did their thing trying to revamp it. The animation was a little different of that Trigon, but other than that, I know Maul is okay with it. But I know I heard you mention out of those three shows, which one of those shows would you say you pulled any inspiration from when you were writing your book, Torin?
Well, all three in a sense, I could say that. I mean, Naruto being the biggest one is one of
Hmm.
my like five pillars for Tourian. Yu Hakusho is in there too. And Trigun is kind of there in a sense because the creator of Trigun, he adapted a game called Gungrave. Well, I think it was it was a game first. It's called Gungrave,
Hmm.
and creator of Trigun adapted that game into an anime. So in essence, Trigun is kind of there because Trigun and Gungrave kind of share a lot of similarities. Gungrave might be a top 15 anime to me. That is a really great show. So I think all three of those anime, some way more than others, Naruto and Yu Yu Hakusho in particular, did did kind of influence my creative path while making Tourian. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Any gaming? Because I know you mentioned gaming. What were some of your like your favorite games that you're like, oh, I gotta pull from this to put into this, or that you like, or design anything like that?
Well, the most like apparent one would be Metroid. Metroid is the biggest influence. Tourian, the name comes from the final area in Metroid.
Hmm.
It's where you go to go fight. In the newer games, it may be a different area, but like in the original Metroid, and Zero Mission was a remake of the original game, and in Super Metroid, you go to Tourian to go fight the final boss, aka Mother Brain. So Metroid was the biggest influence. Metroid itself is inspired by the Alien movies. Um, like shout out to Sigourney Weaver and all that. But Metroid was the biggest influence, and when I made Tourian my book, Metroid was on my mind heavy. That
Okay,
it,
okay. Well, guys,
I
just to
would
show you the book, since we've been talking about it, Torian, right here, so you guys kind of get to see, a picture of it. Awesome, cover right here. What inspired the cover? How'd you come up with it? Like, even the suit up here, man, looks crazy.
Well, my artist, shout outs to William or Wally V on IG. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
Wally V, people. Go check him out. He's based out in Charlotte. I met him at a convention back in 2014, an NC Comic Con out in Durham. And so he drew a picture of me. He drew a picture of Haku from Naruto. Haku is my favorite Naruto character. Like,
Okay.
kind of wish he lived a little bit longer because he's such a great character. He has such a great ability. And so he drew that picture for me, and I stayed in contact with him ever since. And so, like the story of that picture got drawn kind of plays to the story of how Tourian got created. Which do you want me to go into more detail about that, or
Yeah. Just a
all
bit.
right,
Yeah.
okay. So I wrote Tourian back in 2011. I was
Hmm.
still in college, grad at A&T. Shout out to North Carolina A&T, Aggie Pride, of course.
Hey.
Yep. And when I wrote it, I just let it sit there. And I worked on it throughout the years. I mean, I graduated in 2011, but I just kind of sat on it. Time passed and time passed. And so after finishing up grad school, I told myself, I should go back and kind of work on this. And so when I finished grad school in like late, like summer 2019, a lot of crazy stuff happened. And, that's a whole nother story in itself. It's just, I was kind of on the sidelines and like I had to stay at home and deal with a lot of stuff. I was living out in Michigan at the time. Um, and then around like February of 2020, I saw one of my homeboys I went to kindergarten
Yeah.
with elementary, we'll say elementary school slash kindergarten. Um, and his name is Teddy. Shout outs to Teddy, aka Theodore. That's a real cool dude. He's the one who helped me find Black Gold. He published a book, and so he told me about him, and sent them my copy of Tourian that I been worked on this, and they adored it. And
Hmm.
so they said they wanted to work with me. and this is in February 2020. My biggest concern was because I was in a situation where, I couldn't go to work and it was just really messed up what I was doing with. And so I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to edit this book, and how am I going to sit here and find time to edit this book? And that was in February 2020.
Yeah.
So, and then a month later, it was like, oh, COVID, stay inside. You paying us. All right. Okay. I guess I found the time working this book.
Yeah.
And I, the heavy touring edits happened during that lockdown, summer 20, George Floyd protest time, all that. Like, that was when the heavy edits occurred. I was working with an editor and going back to my artist, Wally V, aka William,
Mhm.
like that stimulus unemployment money, like I paid him to make that cover up, and that cover was made while I was in Michigan and he was in Charlotte. So I wasn't like, nearby him, and it was all through emails and phone calls and stuff like that. So we made it work though. So
Yeah, man.
COVID was terrible.
Yeah,
But I
during
mean,
COVID, we had to adapt to so many different ways. Zoom calls, family games. You would get on some of the apps and play with a game with the family because you couldn't see them. It was so many different things that came out of COVID.
yeah, and Tourian was one of the things that came out. So
So you started
but
crafting Tourian from 2011, but really locked in right around 2021. Was there any ideas that you were like crafting before Tourian, or was that the first book you were thinking about writing?
I mean, Tourian was kind of the first book that I really wrote that what I knew I wanted to do. Cause I had written other stuff, but I wasn't really like 100% like knew I wanted to be a Batorian was
Hmm.
when I 100% knew that's what I wanted to do. And when I was in grad school, I had other ideas, and I did write those stories. And getting into it, I can't say that Torian is not the only character I have. I have other characters in other places that will um eventually appear and meet Torian and interact with like the Avengers. But yeah,
Hmm.
Torian was like when I knew this is what I wanted to do in my life, was the first one that I made.
Okay, okay. And as that being your first book for people that are listening right now that are thinking about writing their own book and things like that, what are some of the things that you ran into, challenges that you ran into that, you would go back and change, or that you felt like as a new writer, this is what you got to go through? What are some of the things you would tell them that they would face?
Well, I mean, some of the challenges and hurdles that come along with writing is just balancing your life, your regular life, and your writer time, because life is always going to have demands. There's never going to be a moment where life doesn't demand something. It's just being able to find that balance with the things and the people, so that they all understand that this is a part of who you are. This is what you do. This is your career. This is what you enjoy, and finding that a healthy balance. I think another thing is just making sure you're doing like as much research as you can on whatever particular topic that you are invested in. Because every idea that you have, it comes from something, and whatever you
Hmm.
can learn about it to help improve and expand your ideas, help make your writing better. Um, yeah, writing is writing honestly involves a lot of reading. If you're not reading, then it's not gonna help benefit you as a writer.
Okay, okay. And what are some personal experience you had that helped you shape the world of Torian?
Well, I mean, Tourian comes from many different things, but I think me personally, you know, bullying is a part of the book,
Hmm.
and so that's something that I experienced growing up that I wanted to discuss and to talk about. I also wanted to talk about the school to prison pipeline. I've never been to jail, but
Yeah.
I in like 2016, I obtained a copy of a book by a woman named Michelle Alexander called The New Jim Crow, which pretty much says that our prison system, at least in the United States, is designed to catch and ensnare, and funnel kids from school to prison, whether that be giving them giving certain students aka black students, longer punishments, things of that nature, whether it be hiring guards directly from jails to work at schools, things like that. And so that book really fascinated me. And so I remember reading that book and just being enthralled and just learning so much and saying, hey, I got to put this in here. I got to
Yeah.
incorporate that because that's something that deserves to be discussed and talked about. So
Yeah, I definitely felt like in the book you capture, um, the aspect of bullying and the things with the principal and people getting away with it, and especially like in some animes like Naruto being outcasted in the shadow, and people not believing in him or just looking at him a certain way because of what makes him different. And then the same thing with in your book you display that too with the differences of how the characters are looked at and how they face different stigmas in school, and how the school system is helping their oppressors get away with it.
yeah, I mean, I wanted to go in that direction. Black students get harsher punishment for stuff, and students who don't really conform to the ideals and a lot of the norms that we have in society often tend to get punished as well. Tourian was really rooted in that book, and I wanted to talk about that. I mean, even when I think about it on a personal level, I mean, I've seen, people I know end up in the system and at a young age,
Mhm.
and once you're in, it's hard to get out.
Yeah. No, for sure. And what were some other themes you felt like that were important for you to explore as well in Torin?
Well, I think another important thing I want to touch on, um, thing I think about Metroid is because remember Metroid being the foundation.
Mhm.
My character, she is not like Samus. I didn't want to take Samus and make her black. My character, she has a family. Samus doesn't have any parents. Her
Yeah.
parents died, but my character, she has like her dad and a younger cousin, and so I want that to be like a major important theme of like her family kind of being her foundation and her pillar, and how they can guide us when we're lost. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think another important theme
Mhm.
is the fact that I set the story in California. I want to avoid New York at all costs. I feel like superheroes are great. It's just that when you think about superheroes, Ricardo, like so many of them come from New York.
Yeah.
Daredevil, Punisher, Avengers headquarters, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. I just wanted to avoid New York at all costs. So I picked California for a particular reason. Fullerton because there was a situation about a man named Kelly Thomas, schizophrenic man, victim of police brutality. It was really bad, really, really bad. Like it got to the point where like he, was crying out for his dad to help him, and it like he had to be put on life support, and the family took him off, and he died a couple of days later.
Mhm.
So that was another like idea that I wanted to talk about. How these systems can oppress people and how they get away with it because the cops they got away with it, but what they did to Kelly Thomas, may he rest easy, of course.
Okay. Okay. And so now with the suit, I was gonna ask you the suit. What helped you come up with crafting that suit? Because when Whitney, kind of gets that suit, you described it. So I just wanted to know what gave you that like creative idea to what, I'm gonna do this because we saw it on the cover.
Mrs. Suit was an inspiration, but I didn't want her to have like the exact same thing Samus does. I
Hmm.
wanted to be a little bit different, so I kind of like made her different by giving her a sword amongst other things. But I really wanted to like make her seem like she was a part of like something bigger. Because Samus, the character, she is just like we usually when we play her game. She's by herself. She doesn't really have like she's not really connected to anything. You don't really see that. There are some games that do it.
Yeah,
Other M did it, but we don't talk about that because that game wasn't good. Metro Other M, that game was not. No,
it wasn't it.
I appreciate it from a narrative perspective, but just the game. no. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but Whitney is, her suit is a part of who she is, and
Mhm.
in a sense that like it's not just like something she wears. It's the suit is a kind of reflection of who she is because there's a being that comes along with the suit, and they share kind of like a relationship with each other. Of like she learned Whitney the main character learns about Tourian, and Tourian learns about Whitney. So the suit is is still a reflection of Whitney. I wanted to kind of reflect that like that suit. Um, when I came up with the idea, like I said, it came from Metroid, but ultimately kind of just became its own thing of like I wanted to really be like something that like defines and represents the character and or serves as an extension of the character.
Okay, okay. What type of power system were you going for? How far were you trying to go with the power system of all the characters? Or did you have like a ceiling where you're just like, I don't want to go too crazy, but this is the type of scaling I'm trying to aim for?
Well, I mean, a lot of it I just when I usually come up with stuff like powers and villains, I try to like treat it like Zelda in a sense where you have like an enemy you have to beat, but you have to figure out how to beat it, like using your skills or abilities. I love the Marvel movies. The one thing I really don't like, if you'll notice this, like
Mhm.
it happened in Ant-Man and Black Panther and Iron Man. The main villain will just be like will have the exact same powers and abilities or the suit as the hero. I don't like that. Like,
That is
yeah,
true
I
now
don't
I'm
like
thinking
that.
about it.
Yeah, I don't like that. I want the villain to be something unique and something that the hero has to figure out how to beat, like using their abilities and skills and whatever else at their disposal. I don't want them to just fight. Oh, this is just the evil version of what I have. No, I want you to fight something that's unique and that's something you have to figure out. Because the more you challenge the hero, the more the audience gets engaged, and
Yeah.
the more unique, the more you again keep the audience engaged. And again, I love those movies. Black Panther is amazing. I
Yeah.
just didn't like the whole. Oh, he's just wearing a Black Panther, so he's not. He doesn't have his own unique powers or abilities to help him stand out. He just is wearing the Black Panther suit, or with Ant-Man, he's just wearing a bug suit that allows him to shrink.
Yeah, for
Like
real.
that to me, yeah.
Without spoiling too much, the villain, the antagonist of the story, it's not just one person, it's a couple of people.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
uh, what inspired you to create that group and their powers?
Well, let's see. Beyond just Metroid, a lot of the inspirations came from just like various anime and things of that nature, like Naruto,
Mhm.
Yu Yu Hakusho. But the main villain, he came from, without giving away too much, he came from Street Fighter. Street Fighter 3 in particular, Gil,
Mhm.
which at one point I did actually name him Gil. And then I realized, no, I can't do this. Capcom will step all over me in a court
Yeah.
of law. So and his
Yeah.
name be something else. But Gil was his biggest influence. Um, and as far as their powers, it was like, for example, Rinku, which is crazy. I remember her name. Well, his name, because that was a boy. Yu Hakusho, the
Mhm.
character who had the toys that fought Kuwabara. And somehow Kuwabara lost, even though he was about to win, which Kuwabara's my
Yeah.
favorite character, which I find
Was
that
it the dude
insulting.
who
But,
had the yo-yo? No?
yeah, he had the
That fucked him a
yo-yos,
lot? Yeah.
and he looked like a human. He was a demon.
Yeah, I thought he
Yeah,
was human too.
yeah, he was a demon. I thought he was a human too as a kid. But, oh, he's a demon. He just looks like a human. But
Yeah.
yeah, that Henriku, that was a big influence. Shikamaru was a big one. Um, who else? Sai was another one, and and when I think about it, it was just me saying, hey, how would how would someone beat these characters using
Mhm.
their powers and abilities and skills? And so I just took it from there. But those are some of like that's pretty much where all the villains come from their powers and abilities. Um,
Mm, okay, okay. If you had to, categorize your book in an anime, what would you categorize it in? Like shonen, um, isekai, sojo. Like, what would you dump it in, or would you say it's in its own like space?
I mean, when you think about a lot of anime that come from manga, the manga they don't really have superhero category. I think that's just shonen. I think
Yeah,
this is my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think what we consider to be superhero over here in the United States as comic books, they consider that to be shonen because Goku is pretty much their Superman, the Japanese
yeah,
Superman. You so if and that's considered shonen.
yeah. And
So
shonen stands for comic, basically, too.
yeah. So and a lot of those shonen characters like My Hero Academia, Goku, Naruto, they kind of fall in that superhero esque category anyway. So my character Whitney would
Hmm.
be shonen.
But if you had to choose a studio that you're seeing right now, animate some fire stuff, what studio would you go with to
What
animate this
studio
book?
would I go with?
Yeah,
Um, Viz Media. I mean, they made Naruto, so
yeah.
good old Viz.
Good old Viz. Uh, there's like Toei, and then there's what's the Mappa? There's a couple of big boys out there. Um, but yeah, man. This book also catches a good dynamic between putting your main character Whitney in the middle of choosing between her dad and her boyfriend Liram, which is a very good dynamic. Can you touch on it in a bit, like what you were trying to really capture between the two?
Well, I mean, Whitney, the main character, she wants to be a lawyer like her dad. She's always kind of like, looked up to her dad and, you know, wanted to follow down that path because she just, really cared about her dad and enjoys like studying law and practice and understanding law and talking with her dad about cases. Uh, she's her dad's only child, so they're really close.
Hmm.
It's just that her boyfriend, Laren, is kind of like screw the law, doesn't really work, doesn't really help. So I have a different way of solving problems, and you know, the system is not as useful and effective as we want or need it to be, and so she's kind of like stuck in that fork in the road and trying to figure it out. Yeah, I think that the inspiration for that was just I I thought it would be an interesting thing to kind of to see like how somebody who is caught between the is caught in the between two paths, how they figure that out, and what makes them go one way or another in that regard. Because I mean,
Yeah,
everybody has choices in life and what they choose to
yeah.
do or not to do, and they what path they choose to go down.
Which is a good thing because it's like, listen to your dad or, your boyfriend that's always with you. Your dad's at work and they both kind of bump heads on ideas and how they see the world. Obviously, the dad see it from a lawyer standpoint and what he knows the path he knows is the right way to get around and lear him. He thinks his way is the way. Another dynamic he did, which I really liked in the book, was for many people, just to give you guys a little small spoiled hint, is Tourian and Whitney. Torin is a whole different being from another. I would say to me, it was like the way I was reading was like another universe, and then they kind of like meet each other and try to understand each other in a sense of way. And she's to me was like a person that's trying to help Whitney see things in a certain way as well, but also letting her bump her head. The universe. How far are we gonna go with the universe from where Torin is from?
Well, I mean, at this point, when I think about the Tourian universe, there are other characters, and not to get into me spoilers, like there are certain characters who I feel like, well, not feel, I know that I do plan on using that were in
Mhm.
this book that they deserve to have their own sort of shine and their own sort of redemption and see how things pan out for them. I had that in mind when I made the changes because, like I said, when I wrote back in 2011, I didn't even think about, giving them anything. But then as I expand, I realized these are characters that, they have their own set of abilities and, ideas, and they're just as important to the story as Tourian is. So if there's a chance that, they can, be used in something in the future, then why not keep it, in the arsenal?
Yeah. One of the good theme that I love that you had in the book with Whitney is her growth as a character. From when we first met her in the beginning of the chapter to the end to the challenge that she faced, how important is it to show readers character growth, you feel?
S- it's super important. I mean, you have to show that. I mean, at the same time, though, it all depends on what type of message you're trying to convey.
Hmm.
Character growth, showing character growth is important, but at the same time, if you're trying to convey like an idea or theme that a character doesn't grow, then it has to connect to the idea or theme of the book as to why you're not doing that. Like character growth is important, but it's also showing the reader why that character is growing, why that character is evolving, like so they can, that can be understood as you go along. Um, I
Okay,
felt like
okay.
with Whitney, I felt like with Whitney, I wanted to show that journey because, you know, like I said, I grew up anime video games. It's just that, as I realized there wasn't a lot of people in this media, in these like TV shows that look like me or stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? I might as well start writing stuff like that with characters that look like me. So,
Hmm.
and issues that are relevant to, you know, the community I'm in. So, I think that was also another important thing. And just again, when you grow up watching stuff like Naruto, you see Naruto go from a little boy to that was outcast to by the time it's in the future, he's the leader of the village and his son's running around doing the
Yeah.
exact same thing he was doing when he was a little boy. So it's kind of the theme of like you see these characters learn and grow and evolve.
And
So I
I
just
wanted to
wanted to
ask you,
incorporate that.
yeah, as well as some of the side characters, like that's another thing that's very important to, when I'm reading or watching something. It's like, bro, we gotta have good side characters. And one of the side characters that I did love that you had was Daniel. I was like, yo, this guy's cool. Even
Yeah.
not spoiling anything, but some of the stuff that he goes through. Uh, like talk on that, having side characters, how does that help the story progress and move the story? And I know you mentioned a little bit like there's some characters you want to touch on. Is there any of the side characters, second question, that you feel like, people will connect with once they read this book?
Daniel for sure, I think is a character that a lot of people I'm pretty sure they resonate with. Daniel, he's one of those characters that just came from like I'll give a little kind of cool about it. He came from Naruto. He came from his powers came from what's his name? Sai.
Side,
So
okay.
that was the biggest influence on him. And originally when I wrote Daniel, he was kind of just a kind of like just evil just for the sake of evil. But then when I thought about it and I kind of looked back and I went back and like there's more to his character, and especially considering, what happens to him in Whitney at the beginning of the story, I feel like something should be a little bit different. So I changed up some things that I had, and my editor as well kind of recommended. So Daniel is kind of the character that when I think about like what I want to do in the future, he's probably going to be at the front of what I want to do as far as like side characters that deserve their, time to shine. It's just that when you think about side characters, they need side characters, at least to me, when I make them, they're characters that they need to add to the story. They can't just be there just for the sake of like, having a character in there. They need to add through their actions, through their dialogue, and connect to with the overall ideas and themes you're trying to convey to the audience. I think a great example of a side character that does this is, I would say, who's a good side character? Gara?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gara.
Gara
Gara
becomes
is
the
yeah,
Hokage in his village of the
yeah,
sand. He has a
yeah.
good growth.
Yeah, Gaara is an amazing side character because he's
Yep.
essentially Naruto evil. He went through the exact same childhood.
Mhm.
Went he he he, in- he went through the exact same childhood. He got treated the way Naruto did. Just that he didn't have an Iruka to like really
Yeah.
guide him. And so he went from I want to destroy everything to now I care for my village. I adopted someone, and I want better for myself, for my family, and for my village, and
Mhm.
Naruto's a village as well. So and that he's a testament to the main character Naruto, because Naruto was the one that led him on that path. So
Yeah.
he's a side character that speaks to the overall idea and theme of Naruto of being able to say, hey, things are bad, but I can make a difference by focusing on the positive and doing best for myself and for my village. So
Okay.
yeah, Gar.
Yeah. Yeah, with Gara, just to touch on it too, as well, is you had he had people that betrayed him, even the people that were trying to like use him for the village. Um and then he just went through a lot of scars and then just going to different villages, and then Naruto was the only one that could understand him and that got him. And I thought that was awesome in Naruto that they did that.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, uh who was your favorite character in this book, if you had to pick?
Favorite character? Um uh hmm. Wow. It might be Learn. Like
Okay.
Learn. Probably because again, Street Fighter
Hmm.
um was my Street Fighter. I still play it to this day. Um but yeah, Learn might be my favorite one. And plus, and I guess I'll kind of like, not about spoiling anything, but I can say I've already written the sequel to Tourian, and Laren is still in it in a
Okay.
way, and I won't go. I don't want to spoil too much, but he's still in it in some way, shape, or form, and he just yeah, he's a cool character. Like I said, he came from Street Fighter, but he kind of just became somebody who just represents, I'm going to do what I want to get the
Hmm.
results I want, and the rules aren't really that important.
Yeah. I feel like Laren, also reading him now that you're mentioning, he's one of those characters that he had without spoiling thing, he had to kind of, be inspired to change his ways in a sense of way, because as we can see in the book, based on what we said between the dynamic of Whitney being between her dad and Laren, we can see that he has his way and he's kind of stuck in it and grounded and rooted in it. So that's the character, as we got towards the book, we could see slowly, you gave us a glimpse of how he could change from his ways. And then another thing I wanted to ask you was, which fight did you enjoy writing the most throughout the book? Throughout the book.
Hmm. Well, let's see. I like the one where she fought her friend, the one the one with the toys.
Oh, okay. The one we talked
The
about
one with
earlier.
the
Yeah.
Yeah, the one with the toys. She's my favorite one. Um like, cuz I was thinking about when Kuwabara fought Rinku,
Mhm.
and that fight was actually kind of different in when I first wrote it, but
Mhm.
I really enjoyed that, cuz I mean, that with a character like that, the thought process is kind of endless. As long as they have, as long as there's a toy they can think of and use it,
Yeah.
it's just your imagination letting roam free. What can this toy do? Because I
Mm.
mean, I could have wrote way more stuff she could have done. Like, there's so many toys like that, you know, are that's just something that's like, to me, it's kind of like a writer's paradise. Let your imagination roam free. You can think of a toy. What do you want it to do?
Yeah.
But it's also kind of thinking of, it can do something, but how is this beatable? Because you don't want to think of something that can't be beat.
Yeah, true. 'Cause you did
Yeah,
mention, like, you wanted, give some of these, your character a challenge, like, figure it out in a certain way. So that was one of the
yeah,
things that I loved about reading it.
yeah. I wanted to give them a challenge. I didn't want them to play Dark Souls
Mhm.
or Ninja Gaiden or extra hard. Yeah, it's challenging when they're saying, "Let's put the controller down, and play something else, 'cause this is unbeatable." That's Ninja Gaiden or extra hard or any Dark Souls game or
Yep.
Bloodborne. Like, those games. I mean, that's how those games are made though. Like they're purposely designed to say, you know what, you're going to lose. It's just not. Which I mean, they're great games. It's just that I didn't want to make a a challenge like that because that turns the reader off. They'll be
Mhm.
like, oh, well, this isn't fair. So
And I know you mentioned you had an editor, but how did you publish this book? How did you go about publishing it? Or for someone that wants to write a book and they want to publish, what were the steps that you took to be able to publish your book?
well, for me, it was just somebody who I knew who published a book, and I saw what they were doing. I reached out. Um, a lot of it is just communicating and networking and meeting with people and see. You never know what somebody else knows.
Yeah,
Um,
that's very
uh,
true.
the tr- yeah, being a writer and networking is essential to the process. If you want to like cherish and value every single contact and relationship that you've built, because you never
Mhm.
know who somebody else can direct you to. Like I've I have classmates that legit were on the phone with Michael B. Jordan about adapting one of their books. I've had professors who, when I was in grad school, they couldn't be in class. They had to be um they had to do their class through Zoom because they were on the set getting one of their books adapted from on Netflix. So you never know who somebody knows, and you never know what tomorrow can bring. So networking is one of the most important tools as a writer. You want to make sure y- you want to make sure you connect with people as can, because not just who they know, but also you can learn something from them. Everybody's
Yeah,
style and approach to writing is different, and what you can pick up and learn from them is something that you should cherish, and vice versa. It's all To me, it's just one big opportunity just to learn and grow together. As
yeah.
a writer, I feel like learning and growing is important, but those tools and skills can be used to help others learn and grow.
And I wanted to ask you because I know we talked about anime and movies that inspire you, but is there any specific authors that you felt like also inspired you with writing? Any peers that are authors as well that you felt like, you know what, they're pushing me to get more into my bag when it comes to writing?
Well, I mean, okay, was one author I'll name, Ken Kesey. He wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, classic book, which made to a classic movie. That book was amazing. Who else? Saul Urich, another one
Hmm.
who made a classic book that got turned into The Warriors, got turned into a movie.
Oh, I love the
Um,
Warriors. That movie, yeah,
yeah, yeah, it
Warriors.
was. Yeah, I didn't even know it was based off a book.
Me
But
either.
I found out like back in 2010, and I read the book. Oh, this is really good. I mean, it's totally different from the movie. The movie
Yeah.
kind of changed up a lot of stuff and kind of made it more, I guess, what's the word I want to use? Accessible.
Hmm.
There are certain things they changed. I get why they changed it. I feel like if they had put that in the movie, I don't think the movie would have been as well received. It probably would have had people would probably say, I'm gonna say it would have been offended. They probably be like, nah, this ain't working. But yeah,
Yeah.
Saul Urich, who else is another author influence? Let's see. Um, Tamara Winfrey Harris. She wrote a book called "The Sisters Are All Right." That was actually a really big influence on Tourian. It's a book basically that kind of highlights black women and their perceptions of themselves and their perceptions
Hmm.
about the world, and how, like, really fight through the preconceived notions and stereotypes, and presents facts and stories of various black women saying, hey, we're not this, we're not that, we
Yeah.
are you know, we are everything. We're more than just what society or
Portrays us.
our portrays as, things of that nature. So that was, yeah, those are some authors that influenced me. Michelle Alexander, um another one, Malcolm X. I did read the autobiography of Malcolm X. That was a really good book, and he's a really good author. So those are just some
Nice.
of the few that really touched me as a creative.
And I wanted to ask, what made you go with uh a woman as your lead? main character instead of like with a male.
Well, I mean, going back to Metroid, the main character was a woman, and I just didn't want to take Samus and make her black because I don't like that. I mean, no disrespect to like characters like Green Lantern or anything like
Hmm.
that, but to me, I feel like if we have opportunity to make a character, and of course things can be inspired by something else, I
Yeah,
don't want it to the point where like you just see this character as Black Samus. No, Samus is an inspiration. I just
but
wanted to like kind of tweak it to to my particular taste, and along with the various ideas I had, Whitney was the final result. I mean, the name Whitney comes from one of my college friends. uh, I met when I was in college. Her name was Whitney, and her last name was also was Whitney Wright, which that sounds like a superhero name. So I was like, oh,
makes
that's the
perfect
name right
sense.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she actually get me. That's her face. For the book cover, she agreed to let me use it. A lot of my book covers that I have out and planned, they're people I met throughout the years that they're cool enough to let me incorporate them and stuff like that. So again, shout outs to Whitney. But yeah, I mean, that was the inspiration. But when I think about it, I mean, there aren't too many prominent Black women superheroes, so I thought to myself, why not make one?
Okay. And I wanted to ask, what do you want the readers to pull from when they read this book? What do you want them to pull from it? Like the message or like the enjoyments of the different matchups? Like what is the main thing like you're trying to convey that you're like, man, I hope this came across and this is how I want people to receive it. Because when you put your art out there, people take it a different way. But what way were you intending for them to take it?
Well, besides just enjoying it, 'cause I hope they enjoy it.
Hmm.
I hope people, you know, learn about the school prison pipeline. Like, look it up. Like, it's real. It's a problem, and it harms and devastates communities and harms people's futures, young people's futures. It it gives them worse shots at life. So I think those two things. The third thing is, buy it and tell everybody to buy it because support the artist.
Yeah.
Want to make money, but
Yeah,
I
with a
think
friend.
those, yeah, yeah, those, though, but I think those two and the third one, of course, are the most important things. I mean, enjoy it, read up on the school to prison pipeline, and tell everybody, support the artist.
Okay. Yes, sir. And where can they pick up your book?
Well, let's see. There's Amazon, but if you really want to support me and support the movement,
Hmm.
Black Gold Publishing. Let's see, right here, Black Gold Publishing, all one word. They are a Black owned publishing company out in the Virginia Beach area. Shout outs to Black Gold. Tahara is the leader. Shout outs to Tahara. And like I said, Teddy, my homeboy Teddy, again, shout outs to him, aka Theodore. He published like 2 books with them. He's the one who told me about them. I've been with them since, again, like when COVID hit. So,
Yeah.
and they've been helpful. Yeah, they've been helpful. So I published with them. The book is also available on their website, blackgoldpublishing.com.
Yes, guys.
Yeah. Oh,
www.blackgoldpublishing.com. Y'all make sure y'all go
yeah.
check out his book right there and pick it up, man, today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. And you said you have a couple of sequels coming up. Any events you got coming up where people could see you in person or where you'll be out with your book, any signing and stuff like that?
Well, let's see. I like to hit the con circuit a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
Game and Geek in Raleigh was really good.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I'm in the DMV area. I'm like not too far from DC, so like my goal is to hit up BlurCon, which is like in Northern Virginia, Awesome Con, which is also in DC. What else? MomoCon in Atlanta. This is all just next events that's the goal for like next year. And let's see, DreamCon in Houston.
Yeah.
So that's the tentative map for next year. So if you want to link up with me, Besides, hit me up on IG of which is 313 Snake. I mean, I'll be at one of those events, and if you want to talk Tourian or talk my second book, The Royal Grey Box, just let me know. I'll be there.
Okay. What are you calling your sequel book? Is it gonna just be Tourian
Oh,
2 or
well, I mean, in the sequel, and again, not to spoil, I don't want to
the title
spoil
spoils
too
it?
much
Then yeah,
about
we're
it.
not gonna say that.
Yeah, I'll just say that, she's in college by this point, and her experiences are going to be a lot different. But I can say this, there's one thing I want to touch on with Torian too,
Mhm,
is Whitney, her name Whitney, like the girl Whitney, comes from Whitney Houston.
mhm.
And Whitney Houston, early in her career, she had difficulty being accepted and embraced in black spaces. There's actually footage of her being booed at an award show back in the day. And
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
that's
That
something
was
I
the
do
same
want to
thing
touch
with,
on.
what's that
Yeah.
rapper name? The girl, she's, like, goated. She dropped one famous ass album, and she got booed at the Apollo when she first performed as a 13-year-old.
Lauryn
Damn.
Hill?
Yeah, she got booed, bro, but she
Dang,
sang
yeah,
through
well,
the
that's
whole song.
crazy.
By the end of the song, they were clapping for her. She was, like,
Dang.
13.
Yeah, dang, that's rough. Lauryn Hill. But and so with that, that's something I wanted to touch on a bit in the second one, where you have somebody at her level who, you know, she may not have the most welcoming or, kindest embrace in black spaces. So that's something I do plan on touching on, amongst other things in the sequel to Tourian. But even before then, uh, I have other characters. I have one character in Detroit who my goal is to release their book next year. Who know they know who Tourian is, and they
Mhm.
mention her, but Tourian doesn't appear in that story. But he's
Okay.
gonna meet Tourian someday. And
Hey.
then I've another character in Atlanta who, you know, they know who Torian is, but they're gonna meet her. They're gonna meet her someday too. And I have another character actually in Virginia Beach who I'm not gonna publish his story as a book. He's just gonna be a character that's kind of appears as a side character that eventually, like, get his own story later down the line. But he again knows who Torian is as well. So and then we'll get Tourian 2. But after Tourian 2, we're more than likely gonna get like the story where all those characters kind of come together like the Avengers and
Okay.
things of that nature. So that's
Nice.
the goal right now. The one set in Detroit is being edited right now without giving too much detail. Like I said, the goal is to release next year. The one set in Atlanta, um, that one needs to get some edits done. And then when Tourian 2 we'll start editing that ASAP. But yeah, I mean, Tourian 2, without giving away too much, there's a lot of ideas I wanted to tackle with that. But the one I mentioned about, uh, feeling like you aren't accepted by your own community, that's something I do want her to go through because that's something Whitney Houston went through. Um,
Sounds great, man. Can't wait, man. You got a lot of things you're putting out there together. You guys heard it, man. If you want to really support, like he said, pick up the book on blackgoldpublishing.com. If not, you got your local Amazon, but let's support. Let's support each other and pick up that book right there. And if you're a cosplayer, go ahead and cosplay our girl for us, man. Go ahead and
oh
do
man,
the cosplay. He's gonna be at a couple of cons. You might be able to see him. He already mentioned DreamCon, Awesome Con, BlurCon. So in the North Carolina area. So you know, go ahead and do that cosplay if you're listening. If you're looking to do someone hasn't done, and tag him at
yeah,
313 Snake.
yeah. I mean, I've never seen anybody cosplay touring before, but I thought that would be really. I mean, I don't know. I might shed a tear because that'd be wild, to see something like that. I feel like that's when you've made it as a creative when
Yeah.
somebody's cosplaying your character. That's how you've really made it. Somebody went out their way to like get gather materials or pay for
Mhm.
stuff online to like get an outfit that resembles something you had sitting in your head.
Yeah, it's like you're the thing that you created took on a more life after you, bro. Just kept going. So I feel like that would be
Yeah.
dope. So hopefully you get that soon, man. Man, I appreciate you joining me and giving us this interview. And hope you the best of luck on all your endeavors. And we definitely gotta get in that touring too and the others. So definitely we gotta come back to this. And hopefully the boys will be with me next time. Get that in their hands so they could catch up.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ricardo.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this interview, man. Go ahead and pick up that book, like we said. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Follow him at 313 Snake, and you guys know us Freestyle Anime Podcast. Let me know how you guys felt about this interview, and if you guys want me to continue this interview more authors that are either writing books, mangas, comics, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.